This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Congressional leaders meet with President Trump but appear no closer to averting a government shutdown. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu say they've agreed on a plan to end the Gaza war. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Charlie Kirk's alleged killer has another day in court.
There are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified.
I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, the market kicked off the week with gains and will try to keep up that momentum to finish September strong. I'm Jill Schneider.
National Guard troops ordered to Illinois despite the state's governor's objections. Lisa Dwyer reports on arrests in Los Angeles over an ICE agent being doxxed. And the NFL names their Super Bowl halftime show singer. All ahead on America in the Morning. With just a few hours left before the U.S. government runs out of money to fund operations, congressional leaders from both parties met with President Trump at the White House Monday, but it doesn't appear as if much progress was made. John Stolnis has details from Washington.
In an attempt to avert a shutdown, the top Republican and Democrat in the House and Senate gathered with the president to exchange their views. But Democrats appear no closer to getting Republicans to add additional spending to any temporary funding package. After the meeting, Vice President J.D. Vance predicted the U.S. is headed to a shutdown because Democrats, quote, won't do the right thing.
We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function.
Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said they have very large differences on health care and through rescissions, which allows Republicans to undo any spending agreements previously made.
Their bill has not one iota of Democratic input. That is never how we've done this before.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats are fighting to protect Americans' health care and will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that guts the health care of everyday Americans.
And that's why we believe there is urgency to both keeping the government open, reaching a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, their economic well-being and quality of life, while also addressing the dangerous Republican healthcare crisis.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says Democrats want to bring back previous spending on liberal items the American people said they don't want.
They want to take your funds and give that for benefits to illegal aliens. They want to restore that because we got rid of it. They want to prop up left-leaning media outlets. $500 million they threw in on top of that.
And Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune accuses Democrats of trying to take the budget hostage and force a government shutdown.
The House has passed a clean funding resolution to fund the government till November the 21st. It's clean, it is bipartisan, and it is short-term.
If a last-minute deal is not reached, many federal offices will shut down and non-emergency government workers will be furloughed or potentially laid off as a result. John Stolnis, Washington.
President Trump met with Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu, saying they have agreed on a plan to end the war in Gaza. However, as Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports, the roadmap has received praise from a number of Arab nations, but still needs the final approval of Hamas.
I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
President Trump and Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu say they've agreed on a plan to end the Gaza war.
We discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East.
The president calls it potentially one of the great days in civilization.
I think we're beyond very close.
But not quite there.
We have to get Hamas.
That's now the key. A source says the plan has been given to Hamas negotiators who are reviewing it in good faith. If they do not approve.
If Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done.
The president says Netanyahu will have full U.S. backing.
Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible. They're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
As they await Hamas's answers, displaced Palestinians like Mohammed Halabi are not holding their breath. They've been hearing for 2 years there might be good news tomorrow or the day after, and they no longer believe anyone. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
National Guard troops ordered to the Windy City. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues with another day of rather wet conditions to parts of the West Coast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Today absolutely does look like another fairly wet day for some in the west, with the combination of the storm that brought showers from central California and Nevada through the Pacific Northwest on Monday, now pushing farther inland with showers and storms today from Utah into Idaho and western Montana, and a new, stronger storm approaching the west coast, leading to continued clouds and cool conditions as some steady rain arrives. The day may actually start out with just some light rain near the northwest coast, perhaps even no rain at all for some, but steady rain does build in by the afternoon hours from the northern California coastline towards cities such as Seattle and Portland. This storm will be more than potent enough to create some windy conditions along the coast as well, with some gusts to 35 to 50 miles per hour expected. The other zone of active weather is, of course, the Carolinas and other parts of the southeast, where Imelda brings some tropical rainfall as it turns toward the east through the day today, while strengthening as it moves away from the U.S. and sets its sights on Bermuda. Today brings what should be the bulk of the rain from the storm, with generally much-needed rainfall of up to 2 to 4 inches along the eastern South Carolina and southern North Carolina coast, and up to 1 to 2 inches of rain much farther inland through much of central North Carolina and eastern South Carolina. Wind gusts at the coast should top out in the 40 to 60 miles per hour range from the Savannah, Georgia area straight through the Outer Banks, and coastal flooding, rough surf, and rip currents should remain an issue for the southeast and mid-Atlantic coast through this week. Otherwise, today brings a large area of dry conditions from New England to the plains, much of the southwest, even into the south. In Greensboro, North Carolina, today looks cloudy and breezy with showers, the high 70. For Owensboro, Kentucky, it's looking sunny and warm, high 88. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen on your preferred platform when you search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The Trump administration announced that 100 National Guard troops will be deployed to Illinois to back up and protect immigration officers in Chicago and the state, despite the objections of Illinois Governor JB Pritzker, who says the presence of armed troops violates the Constitution and wants state residents to document what they see and hear.
So, people of Illinois, we need your help. Get out your cell phones. Record and narrate what you see. Put it on social media. Peacefully ask for badge numbers and identification. Speak up for your neighbors. We need to let the world know that this is happening and that we won't stand for it.
The Department of Justice has not stated when the troops would arrive, but so far they announced that ICE has made hundreds of arrests in the Chicago area since Operation Midway Blitz began 3 weeks ago. The Trump administration has already said they'll send troops to Portland, despite Oregon filing a legal challenge against the move. And although there's been no mention of sending troops to Washington state, Seattle's mayor said, quote, "Our message is very clear. Stay out." The 22-year-old charged in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk made his second court appearance Monday in a Utah court. Correspondent Clayton Neville is following proceedings.
Charlie Kirk was shot and killed during an event at Utah Valley University earlier this month, and his alleged killer is behind bars. Tyler Robinson appeared virtually before a Utah judge on Monday. It was one of several pretrial hearings expected. Utah County Chief Deputy Attorney Chad Grunander told the court that witnesses who could potentially testify are still being identified.
There are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified that will likely be used in the state's case. This occurred in front of 2,000 to 3,000 students at Utah Valley University. So we're in the process of identifying those witnesses.
Lawyers describe the amount of evidence that prosecutors have as voluminous. Judge Tony Graff set Robinson's next court appearance for a month from now.
How about October 30th at 10 a.m.?
That works for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
That's fine for the defense, Your Honor.
Prosecutors say the death penalty is on the table for Robinson. I'm Clayton Neville.
EV sales surge when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The end-of-month business report is in on America in the Morning. Here is CNBC's Jill Schneider.
Stocks head into the last day of September in the green, with the Dow and S&P 500 on pace for their fifth positive month in a row, and the Nasdaq poised for a sixth positive consecutive month. On Monday, the Dow added 68 points, the S&P 500 rose 17, the Nasdaq up 107. Shares of Electronic Arts jumped 4.5% after the video game company announced it will be taken private in a $55 billion deal. U.S. mergers and acquisitions that have been announced have surpassed $1 trillion this year, up 29% from the same time a year ago, that according to Goldman Sachs. Some market watchers have wondered if history is in danger of repeating itself, as the current AI craze has some hearkening back to the dot-com crash of the late 90s. Too many stocks up too far, too fast on the promise of riches down the road. Gene Munster, managing partner of Deepwater Asset Management, spoke on CNBC's Closing Bell.
A few months ago, I thought we're in the third inning of the AI build-out, the AI trade. Now I think we're in the second inning, and that's based on what we've heard from the big CapEx, the big spenders, hyperscalers after the June quarter, and also more recently from Zuckerberg and CFO Susan Liu, at the Goldman conference, and from OpenAI, Oracle, NVIDIA, all that put together. Scott, I think there still is a massive amount of investment. I think that investment will lead to these valuations going higher.
The clock is ticking toward a possible shutdown of the federal government as this week's funding deadline looms. The Labor Department said it will not release any data, including the September non-farm payrolls report that is slated for release Friday, if a shutdown isn't averted. Additionally, President Trump told NBC News over the weekend that mass firings of federal workers could take place if a shutdown were to occur. Auto dealers across the country have been seeing a surge in sales of electric vehicles in recent weeks. That's because the $7,500 federal EV tax credit expires today. Former Tesla President John McNeil says although sales of EVs may slow down initially after the expiration, he's confident sales will bounce back.
Demand is continuing to increase around the world. When I land in Tel Aviv, I see a lot of EVs, a lot of Chinese EVs. When I land in Mexico City, I see a lot of EVs and a lot of Chinese EVs. And certainly when you land in China, you see almost every car is an EV, but same thing in Norway. And the reason for that is these cars are a lot less energy cost, a lot less maintenance cost, and they're super fun to drive.
McNeil is now CEO of DVX Ventures. On today's watch list, after the bell, Nike will release its latest earnings. Econ data on tap, including Case-Shiller, Chicago PMI, and consumer confidence. And we'll hear from Chicago Fed Chief Austin Goolsbee and Dallas Fed President Lori Logan.
Thank you, CNBC's Jill Schneider. When we return on America in the Morning, doxing ICE agents in L.A. after these messages. America in the Morning continues. 3 people in California have been charged with doxing an ICE agent in Los Angeles. Details from correspondent Lisa Dwyer.
Federal
Federal prosecutors say that 3 activists opposed to President Donald Trump's immigration raids in Los Angeles have been indicted on charges of illegally doxing a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent. The U.S. Attorney's Office says that the women followed the agent home, live-streamed their pursuit, and then posted the agent's address online. The defendants are each charged with 1 count of conspiracy and 1 count of publicly disclosing the personal information of a federal agent. Doxing is typically a malicious practice that involves gathering private or identifying information and releasing it online without the person's permission, usually in an attempt to harass, threaten, shame, or exact revenge. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A Latin music superstar will take the stage in February for the Super Bowl halftime performance. Jennifer King reports.
Bad Bunny will headline the Super Bowl halftime show in 2026, bringing Latin trap and Puerto Rico's reggaeton swagger to the NFL's biggest stage. The NFL, Apple Music, and Rock Nation made the announcement. The superstar, born Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, said in a statement, "What I'm feeling goes beyond myself." He says, "It's for those who came before me and ran countless yards so I could come in and score a touchdown. This is for my people, my culture, and our history." With 3 Grammys and 12 Latin Grammys, he's one of the world's most streamed artists and has become a global ambassador for Latin music. He drew hundreds of thousands of fans to his residency performances in Puerto Rico and will host Saturday Night Live on October 4th. I'm Jennifer King.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, September 30th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
A busy day of meetings for President Trump. I'm Clayton Neville.
More details about the Michigan church shooter.
True stand-up guy.
But who also called Mormons the Antichrist. I'm Rich Johnson.
At least 1 man has been killed in Cuba as Tropical Storm Imelda and Hurricane Humberto threaten the Bahamas and Bermuda. I'm Hayap Njwani.
Dar Global announces a deal with the Trump Organization. I'm Mike Hempen.
Amazon previews new Echo hardware. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Judge blocks VOA firings, the President and Defense Secretary's General Summit today, and DNA breaks a 4-decade-old case in Texas. Back after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. Heavy rain is expected today in parts of the southeast due to a departing hurricane. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Imelda, centered to the east of Florida and moving away from the Bahamas this morning, is expected to pick up more forward momentum and turn from the north to more of an eastward direction by tonight, eventually passing rather close to Bermuda by late Wednesday as a Category 2 hurricane. For the U.S., heavy rain will continue to spread into parts of the southeastern states over the next day or so as Imelda makes that turn to the north and east while staying well offshore of the Carolinas. A wide swath of 1 to 2 inches of rain is expected from central South Carolina through much of eastern and central North Carolina, but there may be at least 2 to 4 inches of rain from far eastern South Carolina through southeastern portions of North Carolina, along with wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour from far northeastern Georgia through North Carolina. Winds of this magnitude may be able to take down trees and cause power outages, but the rain, while perhaps causing localized flooding, also offers drought relief for some of the zone. Moisture being thrown on shore well to the north and west of Imelda may result in showers reaching as far inland as West Virginia through the day today. Imelda and what was once an intense Category 5 hurricane in Humberto that is passing to the west of Bermuda this morning will team up to churn up the water along the southeast and mid-Atlantic coast, not only today but likely through much of the rest of the week, with a heightened risk for rip currents, rough surf, and coastal flooding from the Atlantic coast of Florida through the Jersey Shore. Elsewhere, a powerful storm off the Pacific Northwest coast brings some rain from the San Francisco Bay Area through central Washington, with the storm that did the same on Monday pushing showers and storms from the northern Rockies into parts of Utah and Nevada. Most other places look dry today as impressive near-record warmth continues from the Dakotas toward the upper Midwest. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. It was a busy day Monday at the White House for President Trump, with a pair of high-profile meetings regarding averting a government shutdown and hopes for Mideast peace. Providing a recap, correspondent Clayton Neville.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met at the White House to talk about a ceasefire deal that could potentially end the war in Gaza.
This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way.
Netanyahu complimentary of Trump after the meeting.
You've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House.
The White House released the president's plan to end the war.
Today is a historic day for peace.
He said negotiations with Hamas are with a different group of leaders than when the conversations first started.
Over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years.
The plan includes making Gaza into a de-radicalized, terror-free zone and allows for redevelopment. According to the president, if both sides agree to the proposal, the war would end immediately. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, a government shutdown is looming. President Trump met with high-ranking members of Congress as the clock is ticking. Democrats are pushing back on Republicans' plan for health care. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
And let me say, we're deadly serious about addressing the Republican-caused health care crisis because it's a deadly serious issue for the American people. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics closing right now.
Republicans not willing to budge on that front, according to House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Their counterproposal, what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are demanding, is that they claw back the $50 billion that we put into the rural hospital support structure. They want to take that back. We're not going to do that. We passed that because we have to allow for that. Also, if they shut the government down, not only are troops unpaid, federal workers, and all the services that everybody relies upon, but the WIC program, the nutrition program, women, infant, and children, they will not get that program, will not be funded. FEMA won't be funded. We have hurricanes off the coast of the United States right now. This is serious business.
Congress has until midnight to get a deal done and avoid a government shutdown. I'm Clayton Neville.
Everyone who was inside that church in a small Michigan town attacked by a gunman Sunday has been accounted for. 4 people were killed and another 8 wounded. We're learning more about the gunman who was killed by police, a former member of the U.S. military. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford served 4 years in the Marine Corps and was deployed to Iraq. As for his general behavior in his hometown of Burton, Michigan, neighbor Randy Thronson shared some thoughts.
He's my best neighbor I ever had, I think, in a long time, but I don't know what happened to him and why he done it.
And this man, identified only as Jason, talked to someone who was good friends with Sanford and heard this about him.
True stand-up guy, would do anything for anybody, and has no clue why something like this, would happen or why he would go this way because of the type of person he was.
The comments from Thronson and Jason, courtesy of WXYZ TV. But another man got this impression.
This was true religious animosity towards the LDS Church.
Burton City Council candidate Chris Johnson tells WJBK he was campaigning a few days ago, knocked on Sanford's door, and the conversation quickly turned to the Latter-day Saints.
What I remember, take away, and I will never forget this, he was, Mormons are the Antichrist.
And as for how words like that turned into the gruesome actions of Sunday, the special agent in charge of the Detroit FBI office, Reuben Coleman, said this.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is now leading the investigation and is investigating this as an act of targeted violence.
The target being the LDS Church and those inside in nearby Grand Blanc. Sanford rammed his truck through the front, got out firing, and then set a fire that destroyed the building. At a Monday news conference, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer offered advice for everyone following and commenting on the tragedy.
Speculation is unhelpful, and it can be downright dangerous. So, just ask that people lower the temperature of rhetoric. Keep your loved ones close and keep this community close to your hearts.
I'm Rich Johnson.
Hurricane Imelda has left damage behind in Cuba, and Umberto, already a monster Category 4 storm, is fortunately out at sea. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports that while both are not expected to make landfall on the American coastline, their presence will still be felt up and down the coast from Maine to Florida.
At least one man has been killed in Cuba as Tropical Storm Imelda and Hurricane Humberto threaten the Bahamas and Bermuda. Authorities in the Bahamas have closed majority of the schools following mandatory evacuations for some islands as Tropical Storm Imelda drops heavy rain and unleashes flooding in the northern Caribbean. Meanwhile, Hurricane Humberto churned in open waters nearby, which forecasters said caused Imelda to abruptly turn to the east-northeast away from the southeastern United States coast. Waves between 3 and 6 feet are hitting county beaches in Florida. Palm Beach County Ocean Rescue Public Information Officer Nat Spur says they're expecting rough surf and gusty wind conditions for a while.
Humberto was a Category 5 hurricane over the weekend. It's since been downgraded to a 4, but we have Imelda, which is much closer to us, and they're both going to be moving north up through Palm Beach County, and we're going to expect these conditions for at least a week.
I'm Hayap Anjwani.
The National Weather Service says the Carolinas will receive heavy rains from Imelda, and rough surf from between 3 to 8 feet will help to cause dangerous rip currents from Florida to New Jersey with potential for coastal flooding. Low to moderate surf and rip currents from New York to Maine will occur through the week. Top-level military meeting today with the Defense Secretary and President Trump expected to attend. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. A U.S. district judge has blocked the Trump administration from firing more than 500 Voice of America government employees. The order halts terminations that were scheduled to begin today and comes amid a legal battle over whether the administration's terminating of the U.S. Agency for Global Media violates federal broadcasting laws. Judge Royce Lamberth, who was appointed to the bench by President Ronald Reagan, accused the administration of showing concerning disrespect toward the court in response to his earlier orders, noting that the agency initiated job cuts only hours after a hearing last month in which government lawyers said a reduction in force was merely a possibility. The networks of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which includes Radio Free Europe, which can be heard in Russia, and Radio Marti, which beams into Cuba, date back to the Cold War. Shifting gears, the FBI has fired several agents who were seen in a photograph kneeling during racial justice protests in 2020. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
The FBI has fired agents who were photographed kneeling during a racial justice protest in Washington after the 2020 killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer. The 3 people who asked to remain anonymous say that last spring the FBI reassigned the agents, but has since fired them. The photos show a group of FBI agents taking the knee during one of the demonstrations following Floyd's May 2020 killing. The kneeling had angered some in the FBI, but was also understood as a possible de-escalation tactic during a period of protests. The FBI Agents Association says more than a dozen agents have been fired, and it has called on Congress to investigate what the association considers an unlawful move. Donna Warder, Washington.
Another Trump organization-backed development project in Saudi Arabia has been announced. Details from correspondent Mike Hempen.
Dar Global announces a deal with the Trump Organization. London real estate developer Dar Global says it plans to launch a Trump Plaza in Jeddah. It will feature residences, service departments, office space, and townhouses. The $1 billion project will be the second Trump-branded development in Saudi Arabia. Trump Tower Jeddah was launched in December. Trump's company struck many real estate licensing deals overseas before Trump first became president in 2017, including hotels and residential towers in Canada, Dubai, Mexico, India, and Turkey. The Trump Organization is a collection of companies controlled by Trump's children. I'm Mike Hempen.
President Trump will be joining Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia today for a meeting of the nation's top generals. While the military has not disclosed the reason or the topics to be discussed, the Washington Post reports that military standards will be one area that will be addressed. The longtime owner of a marquee NFL team in New York announced he's battling cancer. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Giants owner John Mara announced he was recently diagnosed with cancer. Mara said in a statement released by the team that he has been following his doctor's treatment plan. The 70-year-old did not disclose what form of cancer he has. He reported feeling strong and optimistic and added he expects to remain active with the team as president and CEO while being treated. Mara was at the Giants practice facility last week when rookie Jackson Dart was formally named starting quarterback. The Mara family has owned the storied NFL franchise since its founding in 1925. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Amazon is releasing new Alexa hardware and Kindle devices ahead of their Amazon Prime Days next week. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Today, Amazon is set to drop the mic on some new Echo hardware and possibly new Kindles. Rumor has it this fresh new wave of gadgets could make your smart home smarter than ever. Amazon's invitation has dropped some cryptic clues as to their upgrades. Expect a revamped Echo Studio speaker with beefier 3D audio and an upgraded new Alexa Plus AI. New colorful Kindles are expected to drop, stealing the show a bigger screen, slimmer edges, and possibly even a stylus for doodling. Newly upgraded Echo earbuds could crank up the bass, ditching the finicky controls, and battle the noise like a pro. New Fire TV sticks are expected to drop with a brand new OS, and even some surprises with the new Echo Frames glasses or an auto dash cam. All of this just in time for Amazon Prime Days on October 7th and 8th, and I'll cover the top 5 gadgets that you can buy from Amazon next week. For more, visit chuckpalm.com.
With a check of Tuesday sports, here's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 4 wrapped up with a Monday night doubleheader, 2 winless teams in Miami, where the Dolphins held off the Jets 27-21 to get off the schneid. Tua Tagovailoa threw a pair of TD passes, and the defense forced 3 New York turnovers. But bad news for the Fins. Receiver Tyreek Hill had to be carted off with a dislocated knee. That could be season-ending. In Denver, the Broncos romped over the Bengals 28-3. Bo Nix passed for 2 scores and ran for another.
Just running the ball efficiently really helped. We stayed out of 3rd and long, and we were first down, second down, first down. So didn't have many. We had a few third downs, but it wasn't a third down game.
Week 5 begins Thursday when the 49ers visit the Rams. Baseball's Black Monday resulted in 3 managerial openings. The biggest name, Bruce Bochy, the winningest active manager, is out in Texas, missing the playoffs in back-to-back seasons after leading the Rangers to their first World Series title, the 4th of his career. Also out, Rocco Baldelli after 7 seasons with the Twins, and Bob Melvin following 2 years with the Giants. On the plus side, Carlos Mendoza gets a 3rd season with the Mets, and interim skipper Don Kelly received an extension from the Pirates. The wild card round of the playoffs begins today. 4 best-of-3 series, all games played in the ballpark of the higher seed. The day starts in Cleveland as the Guardians host their Central Division rivals, the Tigers. The other American League series is at Yankee Stadium, where the Red Sox take on the Yankees. No introductions necessary. In the National League, the Padres and the Cubs square off at Wrigley Field in the afternoon, and the last game of the day is in Los Angeles with the Reds at the Dodgers. That's Tuesday Sports.
Quadruple murders. Case solved through DNA evidence. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. After decades of anguish, Texas authorities, thanks to DNA evidence, now say they know who killed 4 young teen girls at a yogurt shop in the early 1990s. However, as Lisa Dwyer reports, the end of a cold case from more than 30 years ago is still not bringing the families closure.
Austin police have outlined how a new, rapidly unfolding DNA and ballistics evidence trail led them to declare a dead man as the likely perpetrator in the killing of 4 teenage girls at an Austin yogurt shop in 1991. Officials say there was no known connection between the new suspect and the 2 men previously convicted in the killings, one of whom was briefly sent to death row. Barbara Wilson, mother of Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, says she is deeply grateful.
It has been so long, and all we ever wanted for this case was the truth. We never wanted anyone to go to jail or be charged with anything that they did not do. Vengeance was never it. It was always the truth.
The girls were bound, gagged, and shot in the head. The building was then set on fire.
Our reality doesn't change after today. We have been robbed of a life with nieces and nephews and grandchildren, and with sisters to grow old with. This sort of mindless violence continues to steal from all of us.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Actress and singer Jennifer Lopez is getting candid about her relationship with actor Ben Affleck. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has details.
This past weekend, Jennifer Lopez spoke publicly about her high-profile relationship with Ben Affleck that ended last year.
It was tough. It was a tough time.
Yeah.
It was a really tough time.
She made the comments during an interview with Lee Cowan on CBS Sunday Morning. Lopez is currently promoting her musical film, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Affleck is listed as a producer on the film, which sparked the conversation.
The movie wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for him and Artist Equity.
Because he was always pushing it, or?
No, because they financed it. I told him that this was the role I was born to play and I wanted to do it, and he was like, okay. And he helped make it happen.
Affleck and Lopez originally started dating in 2002 and starred in 2 movies together. They got engaged but famously broke off the relationship in 2004. The couple rekindled their romance in 2021 and were married in 2022. However, 2 years to the day of their wedding, Lopez filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Their divorce was finalized this January. However, this did not stop them from working together, which brought its own challenges and emotions, Lopez explained.
It was like the best and the worst of times. Back home, it was not great. And it was just like, oh, how do I reconcile this?
Ultimately, Lopez felt the experience was a positive one and gave her room for growth.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me because it changed me. It didn't change me. It helped me grow in a way that I needed to grow.
Kiss of the Spider-Woman arrives in theaters on October 10th. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, September 30th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.